Anthropic just held a developer conference and announced no new model. That sounds like a miss until you hear the rest of the announcements. Code with Claude 2026 happened yesterday, May 6th in San Francisco. They mentioned their API traffic was up 17x year over year, which is absolutely bonkers. Today, we'll be covering the SpaceX deal that doubles your Claude Code usage and what this means for the future of Anthropic. And we'll talk all the new Claude features from dreaming, outcomes, multi-agent orchestration, and routines. By the end of this video, you'll know all the major announcements that actually affect how you ship code and use Claude products. I'm Matt Kuda. Let's dive in. All right, first thing we have to talk about is the SpaceX Colossus deal. As of today, Anthropic gets all of SpaceX's Colossus 1 data center in good old Memphis. That means 220,000 NVIDIA GPUs that are online now, not later this year, unlike the AWS and Google deals that Anthropic also has lined up. Compute is clearly everything for these AI companies. Just after we saw last week, OpenAI moves off its exclusive Azure deal and can now make the use of AWS compute. And as a result, your 5-hour limits on Claude Code are now doubled. So you can see right now my limit is 12% for the last 5 hours, but had this not doubled, I'd be at 24%. Such a huge win for coders like myself that can burst code like it's nothing. And then additionally, peak hour limit rates are cut. So in the past, they may have enforced limit rates during the middle of the day to give that usage to other Claude Code or Anthropic product users of enterprise deals, so you get worse performance during peak hours. But now that's totally gone. They have the compute. As someone that uses Claude Code for their 9-to-5 and outside freelance projects, this is a huge win. Additionally, the Opus API limit rates are raised substantially. Anthropic also said that it's interested in SpaceX's orbital AI compute capacity. Crazy momentum going for this company. Now, let's get into the actual features that they announced at this conference that affect how you code and use Claude every day. First one, definitely the coolest one, is dreaming. These are kind of wild. They're essentially scheduled jobs that review past agent sessions, interactions, and memory stores, and then pulls out all the patterns, recurring mistakes, shared workflows across them, and then restructures the memory store between the runs so it stays very high signal. And it does this on its own. They call it dreaming because, like, when we're asleep and we have all these thoughts and memories, this is doing the same thing, but it directly improves Claude's performance. They share more about it here in the blog post. And again, these memories happen automatically, or you can kind of review the changes before they land. Here they shared a couple of screenshots where you can view the actual dreams, which I could do with my own dreams, tell to start dreaming about specific things, even more complex session views on how dreams work. This will be very cool. I know myself, I'm always updating my Claude MDs in my code bases and my skills in Claude Desktop. The fact that it'll be able to do this automatically, pick out the patterns I'm correcting it on or things I want reinforced, will be a huge productivity up boost. And I'm not just saying that. This company, Harvey, got access to managed agents with dreaming and saw a roughly 6% completion rate gains across their tests. Now let's talk about outcomes, something I'm pretty excited about. These are currently only in public beta in Claude Managed Agents through their API, not available in Claude Code, though I'm very excited for them to be there, because what an outcome is, you can think of it as the previous Ralph Wiggum loop that got hype a few months ago. Essentially, you give it an outcome, say, hey, build this full stack UGC video generation app, and then the agent will operate until that task is complete. And this is different from previous similar implementations of this because it's a separate grader in its own context window, scoring the output against a rubric. It's not the actual agent performing the work that's doing the grading of whether the task is done or not. When something fails, the grader pinpoints what's going wrong, and then the worker agents go and fix it. They also have full complete docs on this for how you can get started using it today with the API. I might personally wait until it is in Claude Code. I know Codex has the /goal command, which they released, I think, a week or two ago, which is essentially the same exact thing. I was going to make a video on that, but you can probably expect this to come to Claude Code soon. I would suspect with something like /outcome, and you can really push it to the test. It is worth watching really how much token spend this new feature will burn, right? I mean, if you use /outcome, have it run all night, and you wake up and your whole weekly Claude Code stipend is gone, that could be a real issue. We'll talk about that later in the video, along with all the other features that affect token spend. The next major feature is multi-agent orchestration. Now, we already did have agent teams in Claude Code, but this is a little different. It's available in the public beta API today, not quite in Claude Code. How it essentially works is there's a lead agent, which then delegates tasks to specialists, each with their own tools. Full docs here, and the main advantage of using a multi-agent session is improved output quality, as you have a swarm of agents working for you in just one prompt. And also the time to completion is also improved, as is not one agent recursively asking itself until the task is done. The specialists created by the lead orchestrator agent, they all work in parallel and have a shared file system. One agent can be, the UX designer with a Figma MCP. The other can be the code reviewer that has GitHub MCP and pushes it live. Others can be, the security reviewer that has access to your certain dashboards. Interesting stuff here. And like they show in the docs, the full trace of what all the agents do, how the lead orchestrator is working with them, is available. This is honestly pretty cool. I personally have no projects that use the Claude API directly that would take advantage of this feature, but it's great that Anthropic's looking for ways to add features like these to improve time and accuracy on task completion. I know right now you can always just say, hey, do this task, and have an agent team complete it. That can sometimes help. Honestly, I forget and often just give it a prompt to Opus 4.7 and it gets it done. Reminding to myself to do that more, but something to watch to see if it gives coding gains. The next feature announced, and this one might be the sleeper of them all, are routines. And these are live today. You can use in Claude Code Web. They're pretty simple. They're essentially cron jobs that run on a schedule and perform a task for you. The docs give a great example. Every night at 2 a.m., pull the top bug from linear, attempt to fix, and open a draft PR. And they're not just on a time cadence, but they can react to an event. So for this example, if you had an alert trigger, you could say, read the payload, find the ailing service, post a triage summary to the on-call Slack channel with a proposed first step. Another easy win for any company of any size. And even webhook routines are something you can add on top of this. So for example, you can subscribe to a GitHub repo and say, please flag PRs that touch the auth provider module. Any changes to this module need to be summarized and posted to auth changes. That way, if you manage the auth package yourself, you can make changes to it and easily let other people in the company know. A ton of wins here. Even for myself, we can do a quick demo. Just hop into Claude Code Web. You can see routines here. I have none set up. I can say daily news recap and say something like, go through these 5 news sources, see what the top 5 AI stories are, give me a summary on each and rank which one's best for engagement, something like that. Or I can also have it perform some type of web scraping for me, monitoring my socials, doing whatever. It gives you a lot of the benefits that an OpenClaw or Hermes agent would do, but it's all within the Anthropic environment and takes way less setup. If you go to your usage dashboard, you get 15 daily routines for free. These spend your usage, but depending on the task size and the model you pick, can be very well worth it. Now, what do all these new features mean for developers? Other than the obvious productivity gains from the features we just saw, your day-to-day operations are shifting, right? It's not driving Claude anymore. It's letting Claude do everything autonomously, whether that's scheduled or reacting to an event or forming dreams on its own, and supervising these fleets to give you the maximum output for your product. And all 4 of these features are upping your token spend, which is something to monitor, right? Because Anthropic is slowly building up this monopoly of almost dependency on it where, hey, like, how all of you ship your code, how you monitor your code, how you have all these recurring events, that's going to go through us first. So if, for instance, you become super dependent on Anthropic, or they have, unexpected outage, that's going to be really something you have to depend on as a solo founder or as a company. I've seen a lot of talk on that's a reason why you should invest in coding raw, say, with no AI, just in case these tools go out for whatever reason, or you're pay locked out of it. You still have those fundamental skills where you can work without being blocked by a third party company. But as long as you keep that in mind and we keep this healthy competition across all these other companies, like I know Codex is getting a lot of love recently. And like I said, they have all similar features to these already with the goal command. It's at least right now a great time and healthy environment to be a developer. You can build whatever you want. I've seen my productivity skyrocket since the start of the year, as well as many of my other friends here in Austin, Texas. We're shipping some crazy things. Like if you just look at the hackathon I went to a year ago, that tool, pretty minimal. I could easily do that, in an hour today, just with the right structure of agents. So let me know what you guys think below. How will these announcements change your day-to-day workflow? What features are worth their salt? Which ones are not? If you learned anything, like this video, the best way to support me for free is by subscribing. And that way you also stay up to date on the latest AI news and workflows. I'm Matt Kuda. I'll see you in the next one.